All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to Bourbon and Bass Fishing. Didn't get too many done here in March. Scheduling conflicts and a lot of life stuff going on. I was down in Texas for a week filming a TV show. That went really well, so that was fun. But no longer part of the NPFL, so that's not fun, but got some awesome opportunities coming up, so we'll see how that goes. Tonight we're going to have Ross Rhodes, Jake Chauncy on. Should be a good show. Want to thank Fully Loaded, best alternative to tobacco dipping, tobacco-free dip. There's no better place to get it from. I mean, it tastes fantastic. Use code WILT10. You get 10% off your order. But with that, we're going to bring in the knuckleheads. What's up, boys?
What up?
How y'all doing? How's weather down there, Jake?
Oh, it's nice. It was actually kind of cool today. Somewhere around like 65. Kind of cool for here. It's been like 85, so it was kind of nice. It kind of sucks though because I'm having to start mowing my yard. My wife's been bitching at me about getting out here and mowing my grass, so I'm gonna have to get after it.
It was a beautiful 50 degrees here today, and it was amazing. What about you, Ross? I know you're more north than I am.
Yeah, it was 37 and snowing here today.
Yeah. I don't like that. Yeah. When
Yeah.
I was down in Texas, driving down, it was whiteout conditions through Kentucky and Tennessee. It took us like 8 hours to get through Kentucky and Tennessee because it was whiteout conditions. We're like 4 and 5 wide on a 3-lane highway, and we're going like 15 miles an hour at like 1 in the morning. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. And then we got down there and it was like 40 the first day, 50 the next day, and it was like 70 and 80 the rest of the week. And I was like, God, I hate Ohio. Like, that's stupid weather up there. But,
You better head down to Florida.
Oh yeah, dude. I really hope that pans out. Might be moving to Florida here in June, and gosh, I'd be like at worst 40 minutes from Lake Okeechobee.
Dang, that's where I was going next. Where are you going to be at if you end up down there? What part?
Jupiter.
I got you.
Yeah, so just north of West Palm Beach.
That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, dude.
So when we come to Okeechobee, we're going to stay with Cam.
Exactly. Yeah, if I'm not in a studio apartment for like $2,000 a month, like it's like expensive down there.
He'll be in a penthouse apartment.
I found one apartment that sits like from the front door you can cast into Okeechobee, and it's like $700, but it's like a shed, and it's like in a big gravel parking lot, and it's got like 20 of these other sheds just circling the parking lot, and they're all houses. Like $700, and I was like, all I see is plenty of room to park a boat and like quick access to the ramp. I'm like 5 minutes from a ramp, so I might have to do it. It's like a 45-minute drive to Jupiter for work, but like I wouldn't care. But all right, boys, let's get into this. Do a little intro. Jake, you want to, or Ross, whoever wants to go, talk about yourself, introduce yourself.
I'm Jake Chauncy, NPFL Pro. This is my second year on the NPFL tour. I live in Texarkana, Texas. Home lakes are Lake Wright Padman in Texas, Millwood Lake in Arkansas, kind of like a border city where I live, obviously. The Millwood's in Arkansas, but it's 20 minutes from my house. Padman's 5 minutes from my house, so it's the best of both worlds. Really looking forward to getting the show on the road for the second event. First event didn't pan out the way I wanted to. Could have been way worse, but I'll take what I had because there was a lot of people who would have been glad to have had one keeper. But it is what it is. We're gonna roll with it, and I salvaged some good points, and hopefully going forward we can start the year out good.
All right, Ross.
Hey guys, Ross Rhodes, NPFL Pro here. I'm from Pawpaw, Michigan. This is also my second year on the NPFL. Last year was really fun. Really looking forward to this year. We've got some really good lakes on the schedule. I'm just ready to get out of the cold and head to Hartwell.
I mean, Hartwell sounds like it's going to be fun. sounds like it might set up at a good time for y'all. So I'll be interested to see how that one goes.
I think it's going to be a good one, man. I hate that you're not going to be with us.
It happens. Depending on how things go this year, I'll be back next year.
I hope so.
If I have to move to Florida, maybe not next year. We'll have to see about that. But if I don't move to Florida, then I'll just guide up here, and I might hand them $30,000 at the end of the year and be like, "Look, I'm paid up for the year. You don't have to worry about me."
Make life less stressful for sure.
Yeah, I'll hand them 30 grand and cry about it. But
yeah,
everyone's belly aching about payments being due. I'll be like, "Yeah, I've already done that." So, but
craziness.
So, all right, guys, we'll talk a little bit about how you got started in bass fishing, like where that all came to be, and how you've gotten on the NPFL stage.
So mine's a little different than most people would think. It wasn't my father, it wasn't my brother or anything like that. It was actually an older gentleman that we met at a campground that me and my family used to have a seasonal campground lot, whatever, on a lake, about an hour and a half from where we live now. And he just asked me, "Hey, man, I want to fish a weeknight tournament." It was one of those 6 to 9:30 deals, and we ended up taking, I think, second place. It was super cool in a walleye boat. I mean, a big old polar craft, something. And we literally got stuck trying to go out to the main lake in the channel. So, and then I was just like, oh my goodness, you can make money and bass fish. Like, hello, that's a no-brainer. So, did that. Then I started, just kind of working my way up the ladder, as most people would say, with the continuing the weeknights. And you would do the weekend 1-dayers, and then you can get into, some 2-dayers, and then you got some regional events, Sturgeon Bay Open, just to name one there. And you got the Bass Opens, the Toyota Series, and then, I got invited to the NPFL, and here we are.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, that's exciting. Jake is muted.
Yeah, I muted it because I got kiddos that are having a little fun times over in the kitchen. But kind of piggyback off what Ross said. Whenever I started, I've always had a love for fishing. It's been something that's been my passion, but it wasn't something that was always, something I was able to do. Growing up, I loved to do it, but nobody in my family fished. My mom would take us pond hopping and this and that once in a blue moon, but it wasn't something we did all the time. My grandfather had a big farm pond on, his property. And, I was always down there by myself with my little Zebco 33 getting it on. But, that's kind of how it started. Whenever I got to where I was in high school, I had a friend that had a boat, and we did some fishing, and, I fell in love with it at that point. And I always kind of felt like I naturally, kind of understood the way fish thought better than most, and seemed to serve me well. But I never really actually got to get into it seriously until my dad finally kind of broke down and bought it was probably a 25-year-old fiberglass 17-foot boat. Live wells didn't work right. Nothing worked on it correctly. But, it gave me the opportunity to start learning how to actually fish, not just on the pond or off the bank. And, things kind of developed for me. Ended up going off to college. And whenever I was in school, didn't really get to fish much at all. I was a college athlete, and, that took all of my. And after I finished my last year of eligibility, playing football in college, it was kind of whenever the college fishing was really starting to become a thing. And, we didn't have anything like that where I went to school, and I wanted to do it. I had another year and a half of college left before I finished my degrees. And I reached out to the FLW and, try to find out what I had to do to be able to compete on the tour. And, I was pretty shocked to find out that at that point in time, and I guess it may be still the same, all you had to do is have a club at your campus, as long as it's a sanctioned club that you could compete. Now, I was lucky enough to be able to get the university to sanction the club. I busted my tail. Was lucky enough to get a boat deal for the university, and I had to basically supply all the funding for us to be able to compete. And we got our tails kicked because we never could practice. We didn't have the money to, but it lit the fire for me, and it gave me the fire and the passion for the sport at a bigger level, more than just fishing around locally and that kind of thing. And one thing led to another. I started competing regularly after I finished doing that. I started competing regularly in things like BFLs and local bigger tournaments. That kind of advanced to the regional type deal around the Costas and the Opens, and it just kind of all blossomed for me, and I was able to get an opportunity with NPFL, and I've ran with it, and I'm really proud to be where I am. It hasn't been easy by any means. And, we're going to talk about that later. Financially, fishing's not an easy thing to do. But I've been blessed and lucky enough to meet people and have enough people in my life that have been able to keep that dream alive to this point. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Where'd you go to college at?
Southeastern Oklahoma State University.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yep.
I've actually heard of them.
Yep. They actually have a bass fishing team there at the university now with a coach, and they do scholarships and the whole nine. And I've kind of kept up with it all through the years, just because I kind of was the founder of all that. I thought it was kind of cool.
That's pretty sweet. All right. Yeah, one of the things I want to kind of hit on now is kind of what you mentioned, like the cost of tournament fishing. Like, a lot of people think that the moment you sign on a pro deal, or a pro tour, you're free boat, truck, gear, your entry fees are paid for. Life is great. I mean, I can tell you, I'm a prime example of that's not the case. I just got removed from the league because I didn't have enough money. I had sponsorship signed this year, but I didn't have enough money in the pocket at the time to pay for it. I thought I was gonna have enough come this time. I had a couple deals fall through, and next thing you know, that was it. We're out. So, But one of the things, it's expensive, but one of the things I want to hit on is some of the stuff that no one thinks about, because it messes with more than just your wallet. Your family. I gotta tell you right now, dating life for me, terrible because of fishing. Terrible. It messes. I mean, a lot of people, they see that, and it's
no, don't lie, Cam. We know it's not because of fishing.
Oh yeah, no, that's what it is.
I'm messing with you, buddy. I'm messing with you.
The moment they're like, yeah, I fish for a living, and then they're like, oh, that's cool, and then you explain how it works, and they're like, that's not cool, bye. And I'm like, oh, but I mean, it takes more than just your wallet. So,
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You got to want it, man. You got to want it for sure.
It's definitely the most humbling sport on planet Earth, in my opinion. I mean, you can be at the highest high on day one, and then you're down in the gutter, in the dumps, and the slumps on day two, and you just kind of have to adapt and overcome, what you're being dealt with there, and just do the best you can. I always tell myself, no matter the outcome, as long as I learn something, it's not a waste of time. So, and then, of course, there's other hidden expenses, I guess you could say, time away from work. Because just because we sign a pro deal with the NPFL doesn't mean that we just get, like Cam said, I don't have a check rolling in the mailbox every month for, $5,000-$6,000 to pay all my bills and everything else. So still have a full-time job. I'm a carpenter, do residential construction. And, I'm very blessed that my boss lets me take the time away from work to chase my dream. And that's probably the biggest one that I could definitely say is, the whole time away from work, time away from, my daughter, my parents. It's weird. And then, I get home from a week-long tournament and people are like, oh, let's go fishing. Let's do this. And I'm like, guys, I've been fishing for 11 days straight. I haven't seen my family. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with them, but we'll go. So you gotta kind of balance things out for sure. It's you're 100% right. It is not for every relationship. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have read Iconelli's book, but literally, like, the main key of this book is do not get married. And it's definitely true. I mean, it is what it is. I can see, we're out there. People think, well, we're just living this joyous life out there fishing every day. Little do they know it's 27 degrees and snowing, and you got every dang piece of gear on you can have, and you're still sitting there froze, and you're not catching anything. And they're just like, oh, you're fishing, you're having fun. Like,
oh yeah, I just spent $5,000 on this entry fee. This is a blast.
it's really hard, whatever, until people see it, So.
Yeah.
Freezing a Cumberland was great.
Oh my God, dude! I'm so thankful for my buck and bass stuff. I'm just gonna tell you, if that stuff was $3,000, I would have bought it, because without it, I don't think I would have survived, honestly. And Jake can vouch for it too, because
Dude,
I
felt like the Marshmallow Man.
Dude, when I went by you, Ken, you look like the Michelin Man.
Dude, that's what it felt like too. Like, I'm casting and I'm just like I'm like
Your
twisting
whole
at the
body was
waist. Yeah. I was like, my arms can't move. They're like this. I'm driving the boat and I'm just like, I hope I don't hit anything or anything, because like I can't move. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I had to like roll to like get up after I'd go to a new spot. I'm like rolling, like crawling to the front deck.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was just so thankful they let us launch down at the dam, because could you imagine making that run?
No, because I would have been able to. I'd have died by the time I got down there.
The flooding and stuff, we would
about halfway through, I'd have said, nope, not doing it. I'm just going to fish right here. Probably been the same results.
Dude, I would have blown my lower unit going around that first corner right out of the dam. I'd have gone, wham! I'd be like, well, I guess I'm fishing here.
Yep, trolling motor only.
All right, yeah, here we go. Yeah, the way gas prices were, I mean, I considered that anyway. I was like, maybe I should just put the trolling motor down. It's $4 a gallon right now. Like,
yeah,
I'll save a lot more. Like, even though we got the trailer down there, it's like truck gets a lot better gas mileage than what the boat does. And it's like, yeah, but I still would save quite a. That was one thing that I filled the boat up, and then we canceled day 1 and 2, and then
I did the same thing. I still have 97%.
Yeah, I was like,
y'all want to hear something real cool? I did the same thing. Fished one day, and then I had to turn my boat into my boat dealership. So I just like burned that money up.
Jesus. Yeah, like I came out of the ramp, I go straight over to like Indian Creek or whatever that was down by the dam. I went into like the third cove there. Yeah, and I just started like hopping them. And I mean, I did most of the work on the trolling motor. And at like the end of the day, I got to the point I'd like make like 5 casts, catch a fish, pull out, go find another one that I was looking for, rolling, catch another fish. And I was like, all right, cool. I started actually using some gas. But at that point, I still had like 99% of gas at like 1 o'clock. I was like, boy. I was like, oh, there went $200.
Same, absolutely the same. Somebody that bought that boat, they got a full tank of gas with it, fresh gas.
Well, that's one thing that's nice. When we came back, I've got a tournament next weekend on a little shithole here, Indian Lake. It's everyone goes to the same area. It's gonna be cold. The fish population, there's a decent fish population there, but they're not very big.
Yeah.
And it's just it's overpressured, so I mean it'll be a nightmare. You'll use a quarter tank of gas to get to the reserve, trolling motor all day, and then back. But the weekend after, we got a tournament on Erie, and I'm excited for that because I'm like, ooh, finally get to use some of that gas going out to some of those islands and stuff like that. 30-mile runs and stuff like that. So it's nice now since I'm broke, but like I was also broke during the tournament, so it wasn't nice then either.
I'm just going to tell you, I don't know any of us that are rich.
Ain't that true? Oh, there's a few of them out there.
I'm talking about us three.
Oh,
Boom,
yeah,
boom,
we
boom.
broke. We
Oh,
balling on.
definitely. You want me to tell you my saying? Creek water budget, champagne taste, creek water budget.
Dude, last year I was saying I was balling on a budget. Since this year, it's like straight up balling on no budget. Like there ain't no money in the tank.
Yeah. I think that makes it, it makes it that much better for us when we do succeed. It's that much more rewarding because everything's not just
Yeah.
given to us. Like, some of these guys, they've been fishing a lot longer than all of us, and they've made a name in the industry, and they probably get a little more financial help than say me or you or Jake, and it's a lot more rewarding when we actually get that check, and
That's a fact, man.
kind of
Oh yeah,
bust our tail, so
yeah.
That's a fact, man.
I gotta tell you, this last tournament was a straight heartbreaker. At one point, I had 5 fish in a live well for like 15 pounds, and dude, it was rough.
I caught 3, and I had one at 7/8 that I knew wouldn't go. Everyone's like, "Oh, you should have brought him in." And I was like, he just wasn't going to make it.
Yeah,
3/4 and a half.
I had 3 of those 17 and 5/8 fish that just you couldn't have broke its back and flattened it out and made it go, but it was a line burner.
I had 2 spotted bass that were close, and they went into the live well. I was like, it's close. It's a question mark. But then when I caught 4 smallmouth that were like they were like 17 and 9/10. Like, I mean, I was like,
yeah, I had one of those. Like,
yeah, and so I pulled the spotted bass was probably closer to going than any of those fish, but I pulled it out because I was like, if I can get these fish to go, like that's 15 pounds, and like I'd have been in like 2nd or 3rd place.
Yeah,
I was like,
10 for sure.
Yeah. So like I like threw them in a live well, and at the end of the day, I checked on them before I went in, and they tensed up in the live well. I mean, it wasn't happening. Like,
if they don't make it when you first catch them, they're definitely not making it.
No.
I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I threw them back, came in with like, I mean, the one I brought in was actually the smallest of the 3. I actually wish the other 4, that I had to throw back, I wish they wouldn't have weighed as much. They were like footballs.
Yeah.
And the one I weighed in was just long and skinny. I was like, man, if I take 1/4 pound off those other ones, like they probably make it, but they're just so fat. Like you can't flatten out a basketball.
Like going into that tournament, you can ask Ross, and I think I told you too. I knew the conditions were so insane that like if you catch 2 keepers, I felt like you were going to get paid. And realistically, the guys at the final 10 checks, that's pretty much what they had was 2 keepers. But
4 pounds. 4 pounds.
I had 2 keepers within like the first 2 hours of the term. I was like, I'm gonna do okay. Well, I accidentally caught the longest, skinniest keeper in all of Kentucky for a largemouth, and I swear the thing was 17 inches. It might have weighed as much as a Snicker bar. And then my other keeper was, it was just like a 14-inch spot. So, I didn't have no weight. I was, like, I don't know, 10 ounces away from the check.
You had more than I did.
No, that was definitely. What'd you do? 15 ounces or something like that?
I had a pound too.
Yeah, it was.
Shout out to Buck. Buck had one fish for less than a pound.
15 ounces.
Hey, 47 people didn't have a fish. So.
That's right. Didn't you get on stage and say something like stop 4 or stop 5 champion or something like that?
That's right. That's right.
It's like, Jesus, dude. But yeah, I mean, that tournament was wild. I mean, one day.
Yeah, it's a shame too because
it's in one day in my life. I'm just gonna say that.
It's a shame we didn't have a good event there because, man, that lake. You guys know, you were there. You can tell it's a great fishery. It's just the timing was bad with Mother Nature. It was probably a little early in the year for us to have went there, but like if we went there right now, dude, it'd probably be stupid good. Or even like in the fall.
Dude, if we would have gone there a week later, I mean, the week after was supposed to be like all in the 70s that entire week, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, next weekend this place would have
Well, and
slapped.
you could tell that they bit better in the afternoon when that sun got that water a little warmer, because the guys that had that super late boat draw, they brought in,
Yeah,
I'm
for
not
sure.
decent bags, but they brought in fish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's obviously something to say to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I caught like four by like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that blew my mind because I was like, the tournament's probably only going to go on from like 12 to 2 for me because I had to be back at 3:30. And I had an hour drive from the ramp. And I was like, I'm going to have like 2 hours to catch fish. And I had like 5 in like the first hour. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, here we go. And then it was like everyone that caught, it was like, nope, not big enough. Nope, not big enough. I was like, geez.
Yeah, I actually had my very best day of fishing on the tournament day. Like all week in practice was awful, and then tournament day it was actually enough bites to keep you interested in it. You know.
Yeah, no, I had fun on tournament day. But it is what it is. I kind of wish we would have been able to get 2 days out of it because I would have been interested to see what it would have done over 2 days. Because
I think Taylor still would have got paid.
Oh yeah,
I still think he would have won. I don't think he would have been caught. Like second place was 15, like 3 or 2.
And knowing that guy, he'd probably go out there and smack another 20 and just
that dude's a machine, man. Yeah. He is a machine. There's 3 or 4 guys in our league that are just absolute machines.
Yeah. He was like, oh man, it was just lucky. It's like, dude, you don't just luckily drop 23 pounds of largemouth on Cumberland. Like,
on the hardest fishery, on the hardest weather conditions.
It's like you got 23 pounds in February after an ice storm.
Yeah.
I get what he's saying about as far as him lucking into the area, but he was good enough to realize when he caught that fish, this wasn't just like a one fish, go to the next pocket, let's figure it out. He dialed in and he figured it out, and he absolutely had a magical day. I mean, and it takes a great fisherman to understand that, is reading the moment and knowing what's going on, seeing the big picture. It's really easy to catch that one fish and be like, hell yeah, I just caught a 5-pounder. Great. I'll come back to that spot in 30 minutes. You go through it in 30 minutes, you don't get a bite, and you're like, all right, that was just a one-off, but
I think that's what, like, I'm not going to say separates us, but I think that's kind of like one of our bigger advantages versus like guys that ask me at home, like, how do you get to where you're at? How do you do this? How do you do that? And it's not that they're a bad fisherman or we're just that good. I think it's more along the lines of we're learning to adapt so much faster with the conditions, with the water changing, where these guys are still kind of, I would say, gray. Some of them.
I mean,
I'll be honest with you too. There's dudes at home that will kick my tail in. So I'm not speaking for everybody, but I'm just saying, like in the general census.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
That's why those guys are so good. Like Kevin is so good because, well, he is a fish, but literally he just adapts like that. Just instantly. He just knows, and that's what separates. Definitely in our bubble for sure.
I mean, you got to think like the main purpose of you when you go out to fish for a tournament is you got a week to basically learn how to be a guide on the lake.
Yeah. Much.
Like, you have 1 week.
And guide for the biggest fish in the lake too, not just fish.
Yeah. Like by the end of the week, you're trying to be a guide who I can move here and I can start guiding.
That's why the opens
that's how you win.
So hard to win because you have
that guide fishing.
You have national level. You have open level, you have local hammers that jackpot it.
Yeah.
And then you definitely have guides that fish the lake that are also jackpotting it. So you're
and the difference in the guys that are, like fishing the national trail, the national scenes, whether it's Elite Series, Bass Pro Tour, NPFL, whatever it is. But the difference in those guys that are at the upper echelon of those leagues versus the guys that, they're in the leagues, but they haven't quite, made it to the top notch level is their ability to understand, all right, I've had 1 day of practice or 2 day of practice, or in our situation 3. They may have found that, yeah, I'm on a pattern where
What's up, Rick?
I can cut a check, but I'm not on the winning fish. And there, you have to understand what you found in practice. And the guys who have the ability to distinguish, I'm going to go all in for this event because I feel like I can win this tournament, versus the guys who say, all right, I haven't had a good enough practice to feel like I can win. I've got to manage what I've got and still be able to collect those points, do well enough to cut a check, and move on to the next event. That's what makes the difference in the guys who have the, quote unquote, staying power, who've got the ability to, make a career out of this. And I'm still, I'll be honest, I'm still trying to find my way as far as that's concerned. There's times that, when I'm on the water, I feel like this is the deal. There was 2 times last year where I felt like I could win a tournament with the NPFL, down in Florida. And, unfortunately on the final day, I had some mechanical issues and it caused some fish to die, and it dropped me down into like 30th. And then at my home lake here at Wright Patman. But, where I'm going with this was, if you look at the overall results last season, and it was my first year fishing at this national level, my biggest problem fishing at this level was understanding exactly what I just said. If you look at the results, I either did really good in my tournaments or I did really bad. There was no middle ground in being able to salvage like a top 50, and that's what my focus was this season. If I wasn't going to have a great tournament, I had to figure out how to salvage my events so that at the end of the year, I'm not 60th in the points. I'm in that top, 20 or top 10 if I'm lucky. And, that's where I've got to grow.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. No, definitely last year it was, I lived in that like 40 to 60 range, which sucked. Some of those were literally breaking down on the way into the ramp or out.
And see, I was like helter skelter. I was either like 25 and higher or like 85th and lower. It was all or nothing for me. And that's not how you want to be. That's not how you make it at this level.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Last year was definitely stressful. First year doing it, and a couple things don't go your way, and now you're behind the 8 ball.
For sure.
All right. So now I want to talk about this Hartwell tournament we got. Or not we. My bad. Y'all got coming up. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's going to be warmer than Cumberland was.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It was 20-some degrees, so yeah. It better be.
I don't know. I wasn't able to go pre-practice. Once again, that word work. Right now we're actually renovating my parents' cottage, so that's kind of cool, kind of fun. But I think Hartwell should be good. I think there's probably going to be some spawning. There's probably going to be some post spawn, and there's probably going to be a herring spawn bite in the morning for sure. You're going to see a lot of top water. You're going to see a lot of wacky rigs, Nico rigs. I know just being a South Carolina lake, they really like a jig. Swim bait being a herring lake. So I think it's going to be a lot of time on the trolling motor, and I'm super thankful I have MTech lithium batteries because I will not have to come in early to charge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting event. I'm going to be behind the 8 ball, no doubt. I didn't get to pre-practice, have a full-time job, kind of like what we were talking about. And then, with my job, so for those that don't know, I also am a safety engineer and work for a Fortune 500 company. And bad timing, but our vice president of our division is going to be coming in the Monday of that week, and no bueno can I go practice on the first 2 days. So I'm going to have to work on Monday, get off work, drive like I don't know, 13, 14 hours.
On the other side of the country.
Yeah, to the other side of the country, get up the next day and
Hey, at least you don't have
from
a
daylight till dark
Dustin.
and hope I can survive.
You're
But
not going to get up the next day. You're
yes, I
going to
will.
roll into the ramp and throw the boat on the water.
Yeah, that's most likely what'll happen.
You're not even going to get to sleep.
Yeah.
Hey,
We used to do that for some of our college.
Do I?
You don't have as far as Dustin.
That's true. Yeah.
That dude's got to drive 1,000,000 miles to every single tournament this year.
Yeah. If I was him, I'd be dropping my boat and flying.
Because he lives in New Mexico, basically. I mean,
yeah.
But geez, yeah, dude.
But it's going to be. I will say this, for an event that we're fishing, it couldn't be a better time of the. I'm trying to make a positive spin on it. For me to miss 2 days of practice, this is probably the perfect event for that because the fish are going to be shallow. They're going to be up doing their thing. Shad spawn, fish are going to be, hopefully still spawning, regardless, shad spawn, herring spawn. They should be catchable fish. And, my things, I'm just going to have to grind and let them talk to me and practice as I'm playing the game on Thursday. And hopefully, maybe the Lord will look down on me because one thing about it, y'all know as well as I do, when it's your time to have a good tournament or win a tournament, I'm not saying I'm going to win it, but when it's your time to have a good tournament, it's your time, and there ain't no stopping it. And maybe the Lord will look down on me and it'll roll my way.
Yeah, and like you said, like at least it's not like a ledge tournament, not like the TVA where you got to spend the first 2.5 days of practice idling.
Exactly.
So it's like the time of year they'll be active. They'll want to hit basically everything you throw in the water. So put the trolling motor down in one creek, and you're going to get a good idea what they're doing.
Absolutely. I agree.
I mean, Hartwell is just chock full of fish. I mean, watching YouTube and all these fishing videos and everything like that. I don't think it's really. I'm not like trying to say it's going to be easy, but I don't think a limit is going to be super complicated. But I think catching those kicker largemouth could, make or break you, and no doubt about it.
No, I agree
definitely
completely,
could be one of those tournaments where you see almost like Wright Patman, where you see like 80% of the field bringing a limit.
Yeah.
So
I'd give my right leg to go back to that place.
Yeah.
I wish we were coming here, man.
I wish that would have been the first
one. And I would not leave a certain spot.
Yeah, I definitely found one little area that I kind of overlooked it in practice. Like I went in there in practice, I caught one small one, and then I didn't fish it on day 1 of the tournament, but I fished it on day 2 and day 3, and it was like every day. It's like on day 3, I finally realized like, oh, if you make like 8 passes in that like 100-yard stretch, you're gonna catch 80 fish. And I was like,
and one's probably gonna be like a 6 or 7 pounder.
Yeah.
I mean, that place.
It blows my mind that the lake is still so underrated after we were there and we absolutely donkey stomped them. I still can't believe there's no big tournaments coming there. Like, it blows my mind.
I think that was more of because we were there and it was our first year. And
well, I will say the city is jumping up and down wanting us to come back. So,
well, yeah, I mean, they definitely should. I mean, that was awesome. Like, they rolled out the red carpet. There's NPFL flags all over town.
Yeah, banners, in restaurants.
Yeah.
I mean,
we were going into restaurants, and like the owner was coming out to us and like saying, "Are y'all with the tournament?" We were like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, thank you for coming here and all that." Like one of the places we got like a free appetizer or something like that, and we were like, what is going on in this? And then like I'm rolling out of town after the weigh-in. And
they had local sports shows up.
Yeah, they had the local sports show there at the weigh-in.
That's pretty cool.
But I'm like on my way out of town, and the weigh-in's not over yet. So I turned on the radio in my truck because I had a big issue with my phone. I had to map my way home with an atlas because my phone was broken. So I turned on the radio and I'm driving my way out of town, and like they've got like it's on every single radio station. Like they had someone there like broadcasting on the radio station from the weigh-in, and I was like, this is awesome. I was
Yeah.
like, they rolled out this. I was like, they're making this seem like it's the Super Bowl coming into town. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, I was like, I've never experienced something like that. Even like fishing like college national championships and stuff like that. It's like you roll into town and people are like, we're like, yeah, we're here for a big tournament. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. And it's like, but we roll into town for that, and it's just like it's stopped too on a random lake that like no one's ever heard of, and they're like, yeah, welcome the kings of bass fishing, and we're like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Down here, man, like everybody fishes, like everybody. I mean, everybody's got a bass boat. Everybody fishes tournaments. You know, it's crazy. It's like everybody does it. It's Texas.
Oh, yeah. Texas is where you can be a professional bass fisherman and only fish Texas tours.
Oh, I know. I know some guys here, you know, around where I live, that, you know, they can make 60 to 120 grand a year just fishing local tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, because we have enough big local tournaments and they're that good on these local lakes that,
and you got
100,
150 boats in every single one of them.
Yeah.
You know, they're giving away boats every other weekend at X Lake, and it's
for sure.
No, East Texas is definitely a special place. Rick's still watching. Just for y'all watching, Rick got kicked out of a bar. Rick got us kicked out of a bar. He didn't do anything bad, but like I'm just saying, you know, that was what happened. Actually, not these. Y'all weren't with us at that time, but Rick walks over to me and he hands me my credit card and he's like, "You gotta pay the tab." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I got us kicked out." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "We? What did you do?" I was like, "I'm just sitting over here." He was like, "Yeah, well, we gotta go."
For those of y'all that don't know Rick, he's one of a kind guy.
Yes. 1,000,000% agree with that.
Freaking character, man.
This like 5 foot tall guy tried to like pick a fight with Rick in a bar full of like the NPFL anglers. There's like 40 of us there, and he tried. This like 5 foot tall guy tried to pick a fight with Rick, who's like 6'5". It's just like
country strong.
Yeah, it's like a nail trying to pick a fight with a hammer. So, but all right. So the Hartwell one's coming up next. Next thing I want to ask is, which one are y'all looking forward to most? I mean, I got a pretty good idea for Ross over here. Probably going up to Saginaw Bay.
Yeah.
He's probably stoked for that one for more out of any of them.
It's really funny. So I've been on that lake, but I've never caught a smallmouth or a largemouth on that lake.
Shut up.
I swear to God. When I was younger, I don't even know how old I was, but me and my father, we took our Lund Pro V walleye boat, went over there, went out of Linwood, went to the local marina, and literally on some little chalkboard, it kind of showed you, you know, where the hot spots were at that time. We went right out there, and it took longer to idle through the idle zone, get our stuff set, than it did to, you know, catch our limited fish and that. And then I've also been out there walleye fishing on the ice. So those are the only 2 times I've been out there. However, I know some couple tournaments last year that were out there, and
they're wicked.
It's a special place.
They're wicked.
Sure. And
so much.
I will be spending many, many, many hours out there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be totally out of my wheelhouse, so I'm going to be dependent on you, Rosso.
I mean, dude, you bought 6 spinning rods this year.
Yeah, I only had one for this season.
Oh, dude, congratulations.
I wouldn't even claim it.
I actually kind of like them now that I've figured out how to use them.
People at home would use that to catch catfish.
I was fishing with.
He has this rod. It's like a 7 foot. I swear to gosh, it's like an extra heavy spinning rod. The thing is like you could flip with it.
Don't be hating.
Don't
be hating.
Hey, and his reel, I'd rather use a Zebco 33.
Hey, I got good stuff now. Don't be hating, man.
I know, but I'm just talking about the one you did have.
No, last year.
Can't lie. It sucked.
Last year at Pickwick, I was fishing right next to Mike Nugent. I was just cleaning house on a drop shot. He just kept asking me questions about it.
I know a guy that cleaned house on a drop shot at Pickwick.
All right, let's tell them the story, Rossi.
Oh, where do I
But
start?
We're both struggling. I take the guy to my spot. I was like, let's try to fire this school up on this ledge that I found. Fish everywhere. We pull up there. I can't get a bite, and he puts a freaking limit in his boat and ends up catching a check on my spot.
That's the sum of the story. Yeah, we ran to Bay Springs day 1 and 2, and day 1 was pretty good for me. I don't know, I had 12 pounds or something like that out of one tree. I literally had a camera boat sit there, and I was just like one after another. You just kind of had to weed through them. But then that water really changed temperature, and I didn't practice for where those fish were going.
Yeah,
As you can tell, Pug, he did well because he practiced for where they were going. I had no idea the lake would change,
right.
12 degrees. I just didn't see that happening. So we ran all the way back through Bay Springs, and it was like a 56-mile run or something.
Yeah, it was insane.
Jake almost died. And then,
Landon's out here watching. What's up, son?
What up, Landon? The Keymaster.
Don't do him
yeah.
like that.
And then we literally were rubbing rub rails, and we pretty much had like 30 inches of Garmin live scope. And we were both like, they're right there. And I'd throw my stuff over there, and he would too. And I don't know if I was holding my mouth right or what, but
I guess his worm was prettier than mine.
They definitely bit. So I was super thankful for that. So I might owe Jake a little bone when he comes up here to the Midwest.
Now, a couple of weeks ago when I was down in Texas, I went and fished with Mike Nugent at Toledo Bend. And we roll up, and I'm like, I left my spinning rod. I didn't even bring it because I was like, I'm going fishing with Mike Nugent. Last I knew, he had one. I was like, so I'm pretty sure I can leave that at home. We roll up, we get on his boat, and I'm like, how are we going to fish today? And he's like, we're drop shotting. I was like, damn. So we're literally sitting up there like just out off the first break, finding all the timber, hitting it with the live and flipping a drop shot. And I've got a drop shot on a 7-foot cranking rod. Trying to, it was not working. They'd hit that sucker. I'd set the hook. I'd have them for like half a second. Nope, there they go.
Yeah.
That was me last year, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think Lake Erie will be fun too.
I did, Coop. I'm sorry, brother.
I'll be curious to see how many people try to make that run to St. Clair. I think a lot of guys are kind of underestimating the Great Lakes because on day 3 at Winnebago, they're like, this is absolutely terrible. And I was like, guys, that's just a normal day on the Great Lakes. Like,
oh yeah. I've had people, they're like, oh man, dude, I can't deal with like 3-footers. It's so like when we were on Grand, it was like the last day, the second or last day, and everyone's complaining. They're like, it's so rough out on the main lake. I had locals like, dude, I can't even go out there. It's so rough. And I'm out there like, got it trimmed down and just full boring across the lake. I was like, it's like 2 and 3 footers. This is nothing.
Yeah,
I was like, you're skipping across.
I don't know, it'll also be kind of different because they're going there at that time of the year. It's going to kind of start to turn into fall. So, I mean, I guarantee you we're going to have some weather. It's inevitable. I think, you could probably win it on largemouth, and you definitely can win it on smallmouth there. But I think it'll be cool to see who decides to run to St. Clair and how that pans out for sure.
I'll be interested to see if y'all get a full week of fishing in.
I don't see it. I mean,
I could see you getting the 3 days of the tournament in,
but not practice too. I just don't see it.
Yeah, that's the big question. It's going to be that weather is probably going to hit somewhere in that. It just are you going to miss a practice day or a tournament day?
Yeah. I mean, even in the opens and stuff, when we went to, Buffalo or we went to Erie or St. Clair or anything, you always gave yourself one extra day because you just knew you were going to get a blow day. So,
Yeah. I don't know. Talking about, which one I'm looking forward to the most, just because it fits my style most, is definitely going to be down in Florida, Kissimmee Chain. I'd actually never fished Florida until last year at Harris, and, dude, I love it.
boy, did they bite.
Oh, dude, it was a
Good
fun time
God.
down there. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's so simple too. You just take a Cinco of all things and just throw it around everywhere, and
Right.
they just
Just
obliterate
stick
it.
it around.
And they hit it like they're pissed off at it. Like,
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
but,
I
all right,
think,
guys. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Watts Bar could be kind of cool too. I don't know anything about that lake except that, it's Tennessee River.
That one will be an interesting one. Looking at the schedule before, I was like, that could be a good time. It's early enough in the year.
I think we're going there at a decent time for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it won't be like Pickwick last year. The problem with Pickwick last year was
we
even
were
though
way too
Pickwick
late.
was a good
Yeah,
event,
for sure.
it was so late in the year. All the fish had been beat up.
Absolutely.
They've been out there for like 3.5 months.
Minus one or two ledges on the entire lake. You were fishing for schools of fish of 5 fish.
Yeah.
And
I feel like hopefully Watts Bar this year, kind of like what you're talking about. Yeah, you're going to be able to bust them on the ledges, but hopefully we'll get there early enough that you're still going to be able to catch them in transition. So,
I mean, Keith Carson went shallow there at Pickwick and smacked
Does
him.
Keith Carson know how to fish deep?
Hey, he's working on it. I've heard.
You could put Keith Carson in my front
I
yard.
heard the other day he got his boat off the bottom of the lake.
Keith Carson can fish in my grass out here in the front yard and catch 25 pounds.
Absolutely. He can come up here in a snowbank and catch a dang largemouth, I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told myself, I was like, this is going to be the tournament. I'm going to do better than Keith at Cumberland. As I'm driving to the weigh-in, like the one pocket I can see up by the ramp, it looked like he had his boat in like literally nastier than Hershey's chocolate milk water. I was like, he's got to be struggling, Lo and behold, old Keith, he comes through, gets him a check. Even had a bad tournament, he's still going to cut him a check, man. The dude is just he's a machine, man. He's no
doubt.
Now, when I got back into the ramp up by the dam, I pull up and there's like 3 other boats pulling in, and I pull up and I beach the boat so I can get out and go get the truck, and they're all like, "Oh, how'd you do? Out of the like 4 or 5 boats that pulled up at the time, I was the only person who caught a fish. And I was like, "Yeah, I got 1 keeper smallmouth." And there, everyone's like, "Yeah, go get paid. Good job. Go get your check." And I roll up there, and I came in 59th with that. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus. It's like had my hopes all the way up until I got to weigh in.
That's what I mean. Like, fishing is the most humbling sport out there, hands down.
Well, like me and Ross were both in the very first flight. And like we were talking about, the first flight fish just did not.
No.
They bit better later as it warmed up. And like whenever I was coming up to the ramp, everybody's like, "How'd you do?" I got 2 keepers. It's up. And everybody's like, "You're 100% getting paid 2 keepers." And like 9 out of like literally 90% of the people I talked to at that point hadn't had a bite all day. And I was thinking, man, maybe I did better than I thought, even though it was an awful day.
It's one of those, you probably did really great comparatively for those early flight guys.
Right.
But then the late flight guys are really where, that weight started pulling for the rest of the tournament.
And it was one of those deals where you just, I don't want to say it's luck by any means, because for the guys that like really caught them good, it wasn't luck. It was, they were dialed in. But for the guys that had the 1 and 2 keepers, it was one of those deals where it was just really luck of what fish bit, and that's what separated the guys from really like, 30th all the way down to like 60th. It was just, did you get lucky and get that 18-inch smallmouth bite versus, the skinny 16-inch largemouth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was rough. Especially like I'm gonna be honest, I was sick to my stomach because I heard what was leading, and I knew what I had in my live well and what didn't keep. And I was like, I went back to the hotel to change, and like I'm like wanting to throw up on the way in because I'm like, dude, I could be leading right now and stuff like that. And then I get back, and the moment I walk up, I hear Taylor Watkins drop 23, and I was like, oh, I'm good. I was like, there ain't no way in hell I was catching that. I was like, those fish could have kept well. Nope. I was like, those could have all been 18 and a half, 19-inch fish. Nope. I still wouldn't have been near it.
Yeah, it was incredible that he caught that, all largemouth on Lake Cumberland that time of year in those conditions.
Records. He broke 2 records. And the FLW has been there like every year.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. It was, for a one-day deal, it was an incredible day for him. It was magical. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. But, all right, guys, to close this out, I'm going to do 5 quick questions for y'all. We'll get off here. Let Jake back to his kids. They sound like they're about to.
Yeah.
That bomb sounds like it's about to go off.
It's getting close, man. It's getting close.
All right, so we'll start with you. What is your go-to confidence bait?
Chatterbait.
All right. What about you, Ross?
Are we talking greenfish or brownfish?
I'm talking about period. I throw you on a lake tomorrow and you have no idea what's in that lake, and I say you got an hour to go catch a fish.
Oh, that's simple then. Damn wacky rig, anything. Nico rig, something finesse.
All right. All right. All right. Do y'all listen to music while you're on the boat?
Not really. I don't. I mean, sometimes.
All right. If you're listening to music, what's playing?
Morgan Wallen radio.
What? Come on, man.
Oh, sorry, I don't listen to that headbanger make me want to drive backwards stuff.
Definitely Godsmack, man.
Exactly my point. Smack you right into a wall.
All right. Spring or fall fishing?
Spring.
For sure.
All right. All right. And now here's the big one. Your go-to, like you're driving around the country or around town where you live, whatever, and you see this fast food place, you're more than likely going to stop. What is your go-to fast food?
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Oh, he likes cheap gas.
I don't have all those cool places in Texas,
Dude, I swear, when I was in Tyler a couple weeks ago, I probably ate Whataburger 4 times in a week.
That's where it's at, baby.
Yeah, just because I was like, when we went to go film, I got up like an extra hour early so I could drive into town, go to Whataburger, and then go meet the dude. I had to go get my honey butter chicken biscuit.
Yeah, that's where it's at, man.
Right at Wendy's, bud.
Dude, Wendy's does not even compete with the Whataburger honey
when you
butter
live in
chicken.
the Great White North, it does.
No, it doesn't. You just boycott it out of principle. Well, I was there for Wright Patman the first morning of practice. I actually went to Whataburger and got like 20 honey butter chicken biscuits for like the entire house for the week, and then I brought them back and then we stuck them in the freezer. And then every morning we'd get up and we'd throw a couple in the microwave, and then everyone would take like, a couple honey butter chicken biscuits out of the water. And I was like, because that Whataburger was not close from where we were staying to where Ramp was. Like, I had to go into town and then back out. And so I was like, I'm just gonna buy 20 of them right now and not have to come back every morning. I was like, but I'm getting my honey butter chicken biscuit.
Absolutely.
All right, and the final question. If you were a bourbon, what would you be?
Ooh.
Jake would be done. That's what Jake would be.
I'm not a bourbon drinker, man, really.
Jake would be passed out on the floor.
I'll tell you what, me and my father, every once in a while, we'll sit down, and my brother-in-law, and we'll have a little Angel's Envy. That's pretty good stuff there. Real smooth.
All right, I gotcha.
So,
I'm not a big bourbon man, to be honest with you, man. I don't even know what bourbon brands are, to be honest.
When Rick was on the show, excuse me.
I'm more of a Crown Vanilla kind of guy.
Yeah, when Rick was on the show, he literally said, yeah, as long as it's cold, carbonated, and got a pull tab, I'll be that kind of bourbon. I was like, you mean Bush Light?
Hey, now don't hate on the Bush lattes.
Oh,
Hey,
dude,
hey,
no, I
hey.
love my Bush lattes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ross got him a Bush Latte shirt somewhere.
Dude, have you introduced him into Lone Star? It's like Bush Latte, but like Texas.
No, I haven't. Bud Light, if you guys need somebody, holler at your boy. I'll represent you.
Dude, they got a plant here in Ohio, in Columbus, and I don't know how many times I've emailed the lady, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll give you the marketing guys," because all their sponsorships are done like locally, air quote. They're done with the plants, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll give you the marketing guy's name for the plant." And then like 2 weeks go by, I still don't have an email from her, and I'm like, email her again.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah, I'll give you the marketing guy's email." 2 weeks go by, and I'm like, I just want some free Bush Latte.
For sure.
But all right, guys, it was a good time having you all on tonight. Thanks for coming on. I wish y'all the best of luck in the rest of the year.
I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna miss you being out there with us.
Yeah, I wish I was staying with y'all for the next 5 events this year, but who knows? I'll be back at some point.
Yep,
depending on this job thing goes, I'll either be back next year or I'll be back in 5 years or so. But I will be back, and yeah. So, all right, boys. Good having you on. I'll see you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, guys. That was Jake and Ross. Had a great time having them on. Go give those dudes a follow. They're good guys, good fishermen. Hung out with them a lot at Cumberland. I mean, it was a blast. We had to do something with our time since we were, only got to fish really like 3 days out of the entire week we were there. So every other day was either bad weather or it was canceled or it was an off limits day. So they're good guys, good fishermen, and I wish them the best. But stay tuned. We'll have more of these coming out soon. See ya.